So let's get started. Now, we all know the theme of our panel today is sustainable fashion in Egypt, now and tomorrow. And let me quickly introduce everybody. So you have Piera, who is Piera Solinas, who is joining us from Italy. But that doesn't mean she's a stranger to Egypt. I think she knows more about fashion and the industry in Egypt than most of us do. She is the director of sustainable sector at Filmar company, which is an Italian company that is very active in Egypt in the textile industry. She is also she collaborates with the UNIDO, works with the UNIDO for sustainable projects in Egypt. Then we have with Saali El Nawawi, who is the co-founder of Scarabeo Sacer. It's the first ethical, social streetwear brand using 100% organic Egyptian cotton produced here. And then we have, of course, Yara Yassin, who is the pioneer in sustainable fashion, I would say, the first co-founder of UPFUSE, I think the first one in Egypt who actually used the word sustainable fashion in her brand and used upcycled material to produce her collection of handbags. So, let's start. I was saying that and Piera has already been talking about it before you joined, Yara, is that a lot of people don't understand what means sustainable fashion. They have no idea. They know it's in. You should be sustainable because everybody's using the word sustainable fashion, but they actually really don't know what it really means. Yeah. So Piera was basically talking us through and what she feels is sustainable, and but we'll get there again. And I think I will first start with you now, Yara, since you're the pioneer, and to tell us about your story, about your brand, right? And when you started, where you are today, and what you think is possible in the future for being sustainable in Egypt.
Okay, good morning. Thank you for having me. And I would start in 2013. UPFUSE was a pre-master project that I had with my partner, Rania, during our design school education. It's basically when we had our semester abroad in Germany, everyone was talking about sustainability and sustainability in the living and sustainability in what you wear, what you eat, and everything. On the other hand, back at home, everyone was talking about Gucci and LV, that they can come cheaper. So it was like two different parallel words that we belong to. So which gave us an insight where the market is in Egypt and where the world is going towards sustainability. Digging deeper after the pre-master project, we decided that we want to make it as a business because it was very contradicting when you know a lot of information and truth about what you wear and what you eat in general, and how's this really affect people in the supply chain and the social impact, the negative social impact that garments and fashion brands think that they apply in the society and whatnot, and the reality that they're actually harming harming the ecosystem in a way that making women work for 20 hours, giving them a lot of, I would say, health issues, and then they're not well paid, and then they can get rid of them quickly, or that when you think about the clothing and how they are being dyed, and how is this affecting the water purity, and so on and so forth, it was a moment of, we cannot be part of that. I mean, we're designers, we want to create things, but we cannot create things that actually kill people on the long term. So we decided to have UPFUSE, and we wanted to use upcycled material, because living in Egypt or visiting Egypt, you definitely notice that plastic bags are literally flying around us, and it's part of the visual now. You see plastic bags flying around, and you don't often see birds flying around.
Yeah.
So we decided that yes, we want to upcycle this material. It's very smart. People use it every day, and we started by doing what we've done with the pre-masters that we collected from family and friends, and we upcycle it in my balcony using an iron and creating the material, and then.
Sorry, using an iron?
Yes, like
the
iron for the clothing. So in my balcony, it was a safe, open place that we would iron the plastic together using the paper mache for the baking. And we would iron it, we would create the material, and then we would do the bags, or we would ask someone who's like the shoe repairer, or like shoemaker, usually, like, you know, the one that you find in the streets. They're pretty. We go and ask them to sew it for us, and the process would go. And then we wanted to make a business out of that. So we went to different bazaars and different shops around Cairo. Definitely, we've been looked down at, and I'm now, when I'm like 8 years older, I'm not surprised. The material was extremely not good. The product felt very DIY. The kind of stuff that you get, you know, if there's a bazaar in the church and you want to help someone and stuff. So no store wanted to carry these items in Zamalek or in the, let's say, high-end districts in Egypt. And then when we add the layer of that, we are actually recycling 30 plastic bags. We decided that we would want to work with women on the upcycling process, because we're women and we understand we understand the dynamics of a working woman in Egypt. We understand that she has huge obligations towards her family, and the society is not the society as an ecosystem is not supporting women to be working labor. So there is a lot of burden on her. However, she might be the bread earner in her family. So the message was very complex for two young girls on their early 20s in an ecosystem that wasn't really at all ready to buy local. We're like from -0. Buying local was something demeaning back then in 2015. It's like 13. It's like, well, you don't travel to Italy and get the best, I don't know, from the Milano outlet. It was stuff like that. Then we gave up a little bit, like for 6 months. We decided that, okay, we would go out of business and then we would go and study again. So we studied the social school, which taught us how to run a business and make it profitable, that it's profitable, but it still respects earth and still respects people, but still profitable is an underline, because if it wasn't profitable, I wouldn't be doing UPFUSE for now 8 years. Otherwise, I mean, we don't live in a fantasy. I need to pay my rent.
Yeah.
So we took this school. It was very beneficial. Unfortunately, it wasn't in Egypt as well. We had the chance to travel again to Germany and join the school. It was called the DO School. It was only for social enterprises that want to start in, let's say, third world countries. And then we came back maybe stronger, and we applied for different funds. And this is where this was in 2015, where there was the hype of let's support local brands, because it was in the middle time politics really work very well when it comes to changing ecosystems. Like this is the time where the dollar went crazy, and everyone wasn't able to get what they used to get from abroad. So they're starting to shift to locals. So those who had started earlier, before 2015, had the good chance to penetrate the market, because they were working on their finishes, they're working on their products, their materials, whatever. It wasn't brand new. So we were lucky that we already had a base that we wanted to do. We know what we wanted to do, and we did it very bad, and there was a chance to make it good. By then, in Jazz Masr, by Dean Al Mufti, they supported us with a small grant that made our website and some other branding purposes to make it happen. From this point of after the grant and applying for other grants nationally and internationally, we were able to create what we wanted to call as a community of UPFUSE. We collaborated with the Garbage City woman who lives in the Garbage City, because they work with garbage and they're very aware of plastic as a material, and they are fed up of sorting garbage, and they weren't happy with their work conditions, I would say. So UPFUSE was for them a chance that they would work on materials that they already know, but at the same time in a totally different, let's say, human-like factors. So we started with 5 women. They were working on flexible working hours, meaning that they would, this is something I really love about UPFUSE, is that we make women sign for the working hours they want. So we kind of work at 18 hours a day, but we're not exploiting our workers. They are booking for the slots that they want to work in, depending on their families. And we have worked on this for almost 5 years now, with the flexibility of the workers. It's doing well. It's not against the system. It's not causing us money at all. It's showing discipline, that this woman can come from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. She can come this time. We open for her, and she would work and finish the upcycling process that she had to work with her team, with her co-team that helped us. So we did this, and this showed that the turnover of our workers, where other factories would say that the turnover is very high, people leave after they learn, and so this didn't happen with us. We've been working with 16 wonderful women since 2016, I would say, and they add up. They add up on seasonal work, but these are the mains. And then the challenge that we were working on is that we didn't want to because we're working on an upcycled product that has a social edge, that it has to be with less quality or with less aesthetics. And the aim was that we wanted our customers to really think, is it really eco-friendly? Is it really upcycled? Isn't it not like a conventional item, like a leather item? And this thin line of good quality, that you don't feel like you're doing an extra step for the environment or extra step for the society, is what made the brand kept going, because people want it. It's a nice brand. Who cares would say, yeah, it's eco-friendly. Who doesn't? It's fashionable and it's trendy. And this is like something I would say very important when it comes to eco-friendly and sustainable brands, that they make it extremely expensive because of the edge. So they're limiting their target market, and some I wouldn't say a lot, but at least us at the beginning, we compromise the quality because of the edge. And in the real market and economical growth, that wouldn't happen. If it's not a fully functioning product that is with a fair price, I'm not saying H&M price, but at least a fair price, then this business wouldn't really, let's say, stay in the market. Because we've tried all the business plans. We made it bad quality, cheap, didn't work. We made it good quality, very expensive, didn't work. Until the moment of stability, that it has to be extremely good quality, it has to be extremely functional, and at the same time fairly priced, while not harming the environment or people, which makes it extremely challenging and mind-blowing at some points. But that's the fun of it.
Yes.
Now we are almost. Sorry?
Where do you see yourself going? I mean, what is the ultimate aim? What are the next steps? Can you grow? How do you want to grow?
We are actually in the point of growing. We're exploring more materials other than plastic bags, because the model of upcycling plastic bag worked very well. So we're exploring more items, more materials. We're exploring plastic bottles. We're exploring car tires, and we're also exploring other sectors of the fashion industry to make UPFUSE a full-fledged, not like a lifestyle brand, like a full-fledged eco-friendly lifestyle brand that is based and produced in Egypt, without the crazy, the crazy supply chain of fashion that you get the fabric cut in Bangladesh and then it gets, put together in India. It's full-fledged in Egypt. And this is something I feel very happy about, because we're doing something, I would say, very new in this point, that using recycled material and challenging the status quo that everything has to be made in Egypt with very high quality that can be actually exported. So this is where we are now. We're exploring more materials.
Yeah, thank you. Let's we will take from questions from the audience later, after we introduced everybody and everybody said their stories. So let's move on to Ali and Nawawi of Scarabeo Sacer, who will tell us about their brand story. Ali?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Susan. First, it's really awesome to be here with Yara Yassin and Piera and yourself. This is really an amazing opportunity to listen to all this experience and all of that, and to try to share our journey as well. So first of all, the brand is Scarabeo Sacer, and it means the sacred scarab. And I started it in 2005 when I was still in medical school in Egypt. And at the time there was absolutely nothing. Most people got their clothes from abroad, like Yara was saying, and the whole hype was how to get your clothes and do open days and get stuff like that, and get brands like Zara, Mango, all of that. Even they were still starting to have stores in Egypt at the time and all of that. So in 2004, 2005, I started it. Then I went through a lot of stuff. So I moved, studied public health in the UK, moved into the UN. And I had also the privilege to work with Piera in one of the UN agencies where I worked. She was my direct boss, which is really an honor to see her here and to be working on sustainable fashion, which is crazy. It has nothing to do with public health. It has nothing to do with sustainable development and our work in the UN sector. So it's really amazing that we're here today. And so basically the years went by. I worked for many UN agencies and worked in the World Food Program in Rome and in many other places. And with my wife, who's now my co-founder, May, we decided to just quit the life of the UN and what we were doing in Rome and come back to Egypt and start Scarabeo Sacer and reinvent it, because when I started it in 2005, it was mostly about the social advocacy messaging and all of that. I had no clue what ethical, sustainable, all that world was for us. So when we restarted it, we thought both of us would bring something to the table. So I brought in the SDG world and how, if we're starting a fashion brand, what does that mean, and the impact on the environment, the people, on everything. So the SDGs actually guided a lot of how we started the brand. And May brought in the social element because she's a psychologist. So we brought in that angle to the social advocacy as well, and the collections that we have. So Scarabeo Sacher was actually born at the end of 2018 here in Egypt. And together we started a brand that is all about social advocacy and environmental advocacy, and also is 100% Egyptian, 100% sustainable, eco-friendly as much as we can. So there's two choices when we wanted to start the brand. It was either to take baby steps and try to add on stuff to make it more sustainable, or just go like all in. So we tried to go all in as much as we can. So everything from the cotton, that it's 100% organic certified Egyptian cotton, to the fabric, to the packaging, to the whole supply chain that has no plastic, to a lot of things, all the way, like we say, from farm to wardrobe. So we try to focus on the entire cycle and to make it as sustainable as possible. It wasn't easy at all, and like Yara was saying, you meet a lot of challenges, especially in a culture that doesn't fully understand what it means to be ethical, what it means to be sustainable, to find the right factory, to find the right mindset that's in sync with yours. It takes time and it's not easy. So when we started, the two components we had was the social advocacy and the eco-friendliness, and we started off aiming to sell abroad. That was the initial plan that we had. So we went to Pure London, which is one of the biggest trade shows out there. And when we went to Pure London, it was like a massive eye-opener, because we had just finished producing our first collection, even samples. We didn't even have a full collection. So going to Pure London, we got a lot of feedback from every expert out there, the retailers, other brands. We networked, we got exposed to the real sustainable world out there. And back home in Egypt, like Yara was saying, we also went and met, actually Rania, Yara's co-founder. We went to one of her events related to fashion revolution and stuff like that, which was very inspiring to see an Egyptian brand that actually was genuine and authentic and working towards the same goal. And also in our beginnings, I had the privilege also to meet Piera at the UNIDO meetings, and we met a very important fashion designer called Marina Spadafora, who also we showed her our products and what we were planning and what we wanted to do, and she was extremely supportive, and she helped us connect also with a lot of people in the industry who would help us also develop how we think about sustainability. So it's a lot of these factors together, and then Scarabeo started to focus after some time when we were working on the product and the quality and the finishing, and we went big from the very beginning. We went for a very high quality Egyptian product that could compete from day one with any brand abroad. We had a lot of problems with the production, with the finishing, with the tags, but we worked on them very quickly, and our product is really premium quality, and we were very happy about that from the beginning. And but that was another problem, that it costs us a lot to produce that product, to have that packaging, to get this quality, the cotton that's certified Egyptian, certified organic, the fair trade factory where we work. All of that costs a lot of money to produce. And to make a product, like Yara was saying, to make it affordable or like in the range where people can actually pay for it, that was an extreme challenge for us. We started off extremely expensive. We went down, and then we still are struggling with positioning and doing that in the Egyptian market. But we're managing to sell abroad at the moment in New York and in other places as well. So the product is doing really well abroad, but here we're still working on it. So the other also component that we did with our collections is that we have social campaigns that go with them, and we do also a lot of awareness talks. So my co-founder May Qasim would do something called the Green Room. And the Green Room, basically we'd bring in other brands, other experts, other people that are working on sustainability, on green businesses in Egypt, to bring awareness to the basic terms, to what it means to be sustainable. It's not a luxury, so we need to know what exactly that entails. What is the fashion revolution? What is this? What is that? So just bring basic awareness to the issues in the Egyptian context. And we even also invited Marino Spadafora and other people from abroad to enrich that campaign. Also, the social side, we did also a few campaigns. One of them is called Difficult Dialogues, where we bring in people to inspire others with their stories related to the designs that we have, that have stories related to the social causes and all of that. And we collaborated with people like Noor Wal Amal also. So when we collaborate with people like those, they have something called Dialogue in the Dark, where you get to experience being blind for an hour, and that creates empathy and understanding and all of that. So we did a full collaboration with them, also supporting our different collections, which talk about mental health, which talk about discrimination, like our current collection called Clandestino. So that's what Scarabeus is all about, and we love collaborating with other brands in the scene in Egypt and making sustainability more mainstream, whether it's on the production level or when we come to sell the brand together and collaborate. So yeah, I don't want to talk too much, but yeah, that's what's
I'm going to get back to that point where you're saying for the export. I will get back to all of you later, because I think one of the biggest problems Egyptian designers have when they want to sell abroad is the pricing, that actually we are not very cheap in production. If you want to have good quality, we are not often competitive. But I think maybe for sustainable brand, it's easier, because I think the Western customer is willing to pay more for a sustainable product today than for a normal, for non-sustainable. Whereas here, of course, I think it's the opposite. So I will get back to that point later. And let's have Piera back with us to introduce herself, what she does with Filmar, with the UNIDO, and and her work experience or her project experiences in Egypt.
Okay, thank you very much, Susan, and thank you for bringing us together today. At the beginning of our chat, you said that you think that not many people know about sustainability, and you said maybe in Egypt. I said that it's all over the world, that still it's a little bit, not very well understood. But what I want to say is that I really commend the work that Alice and Yara Yassin are doing in Egypt, and I guess with two motivated ambassadors, sustainability ambassadors like Ali and Yara, we are well positioned in Egypt to disseminate also, what sustainability really means. I guess, from their witnesses, from what they said, it is very clear that the social component and the environmental component and the making business, as clearly Yara said, you cannot have a business without making profit, because then you are not sustainable. You cannot pay the people working for you. You cannot make your living. So the integration of these three components are really important. Having said that, and having finished my thanks to all of you, as Ali said, I was previously working for the United Nations, and that's how I got in touch also with Ali, and working mainly in sustainable development. I have to say that at the beginning, I thought that this word of sustainability in textile and in fashion was not my word. But then I understood that it is very much connected. Why it is very much connected? Because fashion and textile in general is, has very big impacts on the social level globally. It employs millions of people. Having a very big production and different steps on the industrial part, it has a very big environmental impact. So it has a lot to do with sustainable development, because if the world of fashion globally does not improve the way of production, the way of cultivation of natural fiber, the way man-made fibers are produced, of course we are meant to a big disaster. Because what Yara was saying before, upcycling and recycling of what not the mountain of waste that we have, it's now mandatory. So we have to have measures as that mitigate, helping us to use what we already have in terms of waste, and we have to have measures to prevent that this mountain of waste is created. Now, getting back to my actual commitment, I am working for an Italian company, an Italian textile company, which is called, as you said, Susan, Filmar. It's a company based in Italy and having also an important industrial base in Egypt, producing fine cotton yarns for the main, let's say, world brands, premium brands, luxury brands, but also average market brands. So, of course, we are, as Filmar, we are obliged now to have sustainability as a standard, because it is not anymore a trend or something that you could eventually, pursue. You have to be sustainable. When I say you have to be sustainable, of course, for a big company like Filmar, you have to look at all the areas of your work, meaning starting from the raw materials that you procure and industrialize, to all your welfare and social, let's say, areas of work. Unless you do that, you are outside the market. I mean, now, again, for Egyptian brands or Egyptian industrial companies, if you don't have certain, let's say, commitment and certain voluntary certifications, or let apart the obligatory ones, you are outside the market. You cannot even be a supplier of big fashion brands, because now transparency and traceability are mandatory. If you claim that your material, that your cotton is organic, you have to have all the supporting materials and documentation that makes you say the truth towards your customers and towards the consumers. So again, sustainability is not an option anymore. It has become mandatory. True is that it's still price sensitive, as Ali and Yara were saying, being sustainable in the sense that the market requires and the customers require, it is still price sensitive. Susan, you said that maybe Egypt has still more expensive, let's say, value chains than other countries. Yeah, maybe it's true. If we speak about cotton, for sure it is, because Egyptian cotton is one of the best in the world, and because, of course, there is an edge on the quality. So, the products might be more expensive if we speak about Egyptian cotton, but of course, we are speaking about products that have a certain longevity. When I say longevity, I mean that they are durable. So, if we speak now about sustainability, we have to speak also about quality, because we cannot speak about sustainability when we speak about, let pass this word, rubbish. You see what I mean? And all the, let's say, very low quality garments that we are now seeing in the market are difficult also to recycle or to upcycle. Yara can knows better than I do this part of the work. So now, even for the recycled items, we have a certain kind of traceability that we have to know where this material that I'm gonna recycle comes from and what it is made from. Because if I recycle something that contains hazardous chemicals, I am putting in the market again hazardous chemicals, which is not what the market wants. You see what I mean? So it is a very complex word, but I guess there has been a lot of progress in the last, let's say, 10 years. And I see also in Egypt that now, since we started with UNIDO having projects for organic cotton or more sustainable cotton, not only as a fiber but also as industrial, let's say, processes, a lot of there have been a lot of advancement, and Ali has been part of many of the events that we held and the trainings that we offered and so on and so forth. So I guess there are big chances chances for Egypt to be part of these sustainable supply chains in fashion and in home textile because of different reasons. One, and the most important one, is that Egypt is one of the few countries with the integrated textile supply chain, from raw materials to final garment, to finished garment. So this is very important. Geographic location towards Europe is very convenient, because if we speak about Asia, of course, Bangladesh, and you are importing from those countries which are really very far, and leading times are becoming very important, have become very important in fashion. Egypt is really well positioned to, to take the chance of sustainability and quality.
But I have a question, Piera. Now, you're talking about traceability and transparency to be a brand. The problem is, it is easy to be transparent in the material you're using. So you're going to use recycled plastic, you're going to use mushroom leather, you're going to use it's there, it's in front of you. But how can anybody know whether it's the workers in Egypt or in Bangladesh or in China, if they are sustainable, if they are paid the right wages, if their working conditions are ethical and sustainable? There's no way you can control that. You just have to take the word of the producer that he says, oh yes, I'm paying.
No, Susan, no, this is not the reality. I just say a few words and then Ali can elaborate from his side.
Yeah.
No, this is not the case, because nowadays to be a supplier and to be well accepted in the market, you have to disclose. You have to undertake a certain commitment to your disclosure of your supply chains. So the basic is that there are, of course, also digital tools that help this, such as the blockchain, for instance. And the blockchain is helping, the fashion world to, let's say, upload and trace back their supply chains. But nowadays you cannot say, I don't know where my cotton comes from. I don't know, I buy this jumper and I don't know if the workers have been paid. No, there are also standards that you have to respect, certifications that you have to have. For instance, Ali is dealing now with organic cotton. The organic cotton has a specific certification, which is the Global Organic Textile Standards, named GOTS in English. And the GOTS does not only tell you that this cotton is organic because it provides a certain traceability. It also has an audit part on the companies that are certified on their social compliance, on their level of social compliance. So if the certification, the auditors find out that checking your papers, that you have to disclose, because if you don't disclose, you don't get the certification. If you don't get the certification, you cannot deal in an open way with the organic cotton, with the organic materials. So it is not true, Susan, that you cannot know. You can know as a consumer. People are getting more and more involved in reading labels with attention. The majority of brands and labels carry a QR code that take you back to also the history of the clothes that you are buying. And all this transparency and traceability has a lot to do also with customers, not only with brands that have to be responsible, but with customers that have to undertake more responsible consumption patterns. And they are becoming more and more demanding on knowing.
Yes, I agree. Of course, the customer is demanding, but how, what I meant is that any supplier of whether the cotton supplier or the fabric supplier or the factory itself, anywhere in the world could tell you anything and prove it, even if they can give you false papers that the salaries they're paying are so and so. How are you, as a European retailer, going to double or triple check that this is actually true? You go to a showroom in Paris or in Milan, you see a brand that tells you that comes from wherever in the world, I'm not saying only Egypt, I'm saying anywhere in the world that says, oh, I produce, this is a sustainable product. Now, how would you, as the retailer, not even, really know that the salaries are well paid? I said the fabric, the material, yes, you can see because you hold it in your hands, but you don't know how that has been produced.
Susan,
go ahead, Ali.
Yeah, I'll add just to what there's very rigorous certification that you have to go through, whether it's for the factory, for the facilities, the working conditions, to the salary. It's really rigorously done, and there's certifications for that, like the fair trade certification. There's other certifications related to the fabrics, like the GOT certification, the Egyptian cotton. You have to pay for it, and it's also a rigorous process to claim your Egyptian cotton. That's not, anyone could say it, yes, but to have the certification is also different. There's other certifications for the brands themselves, something called a B Corp, where they evaluate everything from how you're structured as a company, to your workers, to the fabrics and all that. And for the fabrics, there's also labs where people would test what you're saying, and they know, like Piera was saying, the traceability of everything that you have in your product, from the buttons, the accessories, they know everything. So these certifications, if you're claiming to a European retailer, and that's why they created all of these certifications. You cannot just say I'm organic Egyptian and they're gonna take your word at all. They're gonna tell you, we're not gonna buy anything from you. So these certifications cost a lot of money, and they have people that regularly check on it everywhere. There's also the Demeter, there's many, like everything has its own certification. And GOTS also, it's not only the fabric, it's the inks, the dyes, everything that goes into the product. And how it impacts water, how all of that is calculated and done very rigorously. And we went through that as well as a company. Yeah.
Okay, well, let me now ask each one of you. So let's start with Yara. What were the biggest challenges, actually, setting up a sustainable business, maintaining a sustainable business, and wanting to grow it? What are the biggest challenges here? Is it the consumer who is not ready? Is it the lack of opportunities? Is it the pricing, that the consumer is not ready to pay a premium for such a product because they don't feel it's a luxury product? And we are still very much, like Yara said, a brand, international brand driven society. So let's start.
I think the two challenges within my journey, I had one very personal and I had one very professional. Starting with the professional, the challenge was definitely that the market wasn't ready, and that the local production phenomena wasn't there. So factories wouldn't accept to work on minimum quantities or on small quantities, or that would be trial and error, because there is a challenge here when you talk with factories that they do not want to make something new then that is different than their normal supply, because there isn't demand for new things in the market. So as much as the Egyptian market offers good things, they're also bad that it's not creative. So this is one of the things I had a challenge with, is when I had the material and I wanted to do a new product that would take time in production and in development, I wasn't really supported. Definitely also the customer, back then it was a very early stage for us with the customers, that we want to convince young people to wear our products, where the JanSport was in the hype, Herschel was taking over and things like that. So this was also a challenge. But with time, when you have a very good brand position and brand loyalty, and you do things around your brand that really shows your integrity, you get your customers. I mean, you build them. It's not that there is a market and you penetrate. You build and create a market. It was a challenge, but it's very fruitful at the end. The personal challenge is keep going, you know. I've started my business with other colleagues who were doing whether conventional fashion or who were starting open days and doing, it's easy money. It's very easy money, definitely against what I stand for. But starting a business in a young age with limited accessibility to opportunities, I would say, whether it's market, whether it's finance, whether it's knowledge, know-how, there's big part that I was myself like really experimenting what to do, how to manage. You know, I come from a very design background, and to stop the designer inside me and to focus on the manager person in me, that was a challenge actually. And also socially, like people would tell you, you're working in garbage, why don't you find the finer material? And I've been harassed with this till 2016, and each time I hear something a bit very harsh, I would say. I know that the material isn't convincing yet, the product isn't convincing yet, but this was a challenge. So I'm saying this challenge because I know some people want to start their business in this sector, and it doesn't sound prestigious as now we're talking in the panel. At the beginning, there's a lot of bullying and harassments, that you're doing shit, you're doing crap, you're taking, I'm sorry for the language, but you're taking materials from the garbage bins and creating things that I should wear, like me, Princess X, should wear this thing from upcycled plastic. Why on earth would I do that? So these are the things that resonated, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's everything is a challenge, right? And the beauty of it, that you to succeed in a challenge. But what I also, before I forget, I want to tell all of you and those who are listening, because it was you who said you worked with Noor Al Amal, right?
I did work with them, but Ali worked as well.
Yeah, because I remember many years ago, I used to do I used to work with their division that does the wicker work. The blind women that do the wicker work. And I used to let them do trays and things like this and sold it for them at bazaars. And the quality is amazing. So there's so many things like bags or things you could do out of wicker. And so that I think you guys should look into, because they'll be very happy for the work. Their craftsmanship is extraordinary. And you would be doing something good for them and can create a unique product. So I think that's something Egyptian brands, people like you should look into, using places like Noor Al Amal, who produce handcrafts and really have skilled women or men working. So, okay, so let's ask Ali about his challenges. What were the biggest challenges?
Yeah, like Yara said, also there's some personal challenges of why on earth would you leave a lucrative job with the UN and get into fashion, which you haven't studied, you don't know a lot about, and why would you even do that and even take your family from a very cushy, comfortable life in Rome and blah. Like, I had my personal struggle on the side, and as a brand, we had a few challenges, like also some of the stuff that Yara said we struggled with, and also the whole idea of positioning, pricing, the minimum all of that we struggled with in the beginning. And we have an extra layer of the suppliers are very limited for what we are trying to do, whether it's the packaging that doesn't have plastic, whether it's the fabrics and the certified organic materials, whether it's finding new materials that are innovative, like you just said, Susan, like making stuff from cactus, from pineapple, from that stuff. A lot of that stuff is happening in different parts of the world. We want to be part of that as Egypt. So that creating R&D and doing things in a truly innovative way, that like Yara also said, is a struggle. People know how to do things. They export to certain people. They do think they've been doing it for 20 years. They don't want to change anything in their processes. So that's also a problem. Also, for a brand to sustain completely on its, if it's selling B2C directly to the consumer, that is extremely difficult. And like Yara said, it takes years to build brand loyalty and people that are willing to leave the brands they're used to, that they're buying them from Europe or the US or whatever, to move to your brand. That's a big decision for a lot of people, more than people may think. So in order to sustain yourself as a business, what we are trying to do and we're doing at the moment is doing also a lot of B2B. We are working for other customers in Europe or the US, and we're producing very high quality premium Egyptian products, and we're shipping them as well. That gives us some cash to sustain our business until the brand loyalty and our customer base increases and are willing to pay, which is also a struggle. And the last thing also we struggled with is also the whole business mindset, that both of us don't come from a business background. Me and May, my partner, I'm a medical doctor, a public health practitioner, UN person, and May is a psychologist who worked in hospitals. So bringing the business sense was difficult. So we getting into programs like, for example, the AUC Venture Lab that we did, and what also Yara did, they did their own programs that helps put stuff into perspective and think of the operations and the details of running a business, because it's you don't have that knowledge inherently. You learn by practice, and also you need someone to give you that information. So yeah, that's what we struggled with as Scarabeo Satcher.
Can I just ask a question? Now, you export and you sell locally. You export B2B and you sell here B2C, I assume, directly to the consumer. There's no retailer, right? So
yeah, we sell it abroad as well.
Yeah. Where do you make more profit?
The B2B for sure. That's a lot of money. And
I didn't hear the B2B. Yeah, to the export, you make more.
Yeah, if you do. Yeah, our product for B2B, it doesn't make sense because it's a bit pricey, especially the winter stuff is extremely pricey to produce in the local market. So yeah, our customers are mostly abroad when it comes to B2B.
Yeah, and they are willing to pay more. I mean, the price, yes, the price of sustainable product, high quality product is higher in the West than it is here, which falls again back to the consumer appreciation. What does the consumer want and appreciate? What is he looking for? So that means once the local consumer will be more educated on looking for sustainable fashion because they feel it's important to buy sustainable, then you can justify maybe pricing higher in Egypt, right? Yara, would you also think so?
Yes, I would definitely think so.
Okay, yeah, that we need to educate the customer, the consumer, the local consumer more. Now, Piera, you have been you've been working in Egypt. You've arranged workshops through the UNIDO for Egyptian designers. How do you think we should educate or the local consumer to want to buy sustainable, to support it, and to be ready to pay a premium for it?
Yeah, Susan, you see this, the education is for sure very important, and this is going on also in Europe. I mean, we are still having a lot of programs starting from schools in understanding how sustainability, affects our daily lives. Because of course, when you speak to the students in school, starting from primary school, that the pollution that fashion industry, textile industry, or many other industries create to the environment are bringing about all the environmental changes that we are coping with, like extreme, climatic factors, for instance. So for sure, there is a part of awareness and education that we have to to support and enhance. I think there is also another point in what Ali and Yara were saying in terms of pricing. It is not only the fact that Egyptian customers cannot still appreciate the sustainable, let's say, garment. There is a point of also of market structure. So it's a matter of awareness. It's a matter also of being used to certain things. Maybe also, Susan, your magazines and this kind of meeting that you organize today should be more and more frequent. Also, maybe, as I was saying before, institutions, schools, NGOs, UN agencies should be more involved in disseminating you see, the fact that sustainability is a way of living. It is not any way only, a way of, buying a certain item, because I can also buy a certain item, but then I stay all day long with a light switched on in my room, even though I don't need it because there is none of the sun shining. This is not sustainable. I mean, it's a way of living. So yes, true. We have to support the dissemination of a more sustainable way of living. And then it comes also the consumption patterns that are related to fashion, to food, to many other spheres of life. And I understand also very well the challenges that Ali and Yara have spoken about, because the sustainability fashion world is schizophrenic, because on a side, we keep saying that linear models are not anymore sustainable. And so we enhance circularity. Then somebody like Yara, that started when she was very young on a circular model, now, still she's facing the attitude of you are recycling, plastic, you are living in rubbish. I mean, this is, of course, also a kind of being educated. And Ali also is having a lot of challenges. And the companies, big companies, industrial companies like Filmar, are having a lot of challenges, because what I said before about schizophrenia is true. For instance, I give just a practical example. All customers, brands, retailers, or manufacturers ask from the very beginning of the value chain to be sustainable. Filmar produces yarns, cotton yarns, okay? When you present your collections, if you tell all kinds of brands that you have only 4 shades of blue, they tell you, okay, no, so it doesn't work. But at the same time, they ask you to be sustainable. The more shades of blue you have, the more chemical you use, correct? The more water you use, even to make the samples. I'm not talking about production, I'm talking about sampling. So again, you understand that on a side we have the facade, the sustainability. We have to save water. You have to save electricity. You have to stop with toxic chemicals. On the other hand, there is the beauty of the fashion. There is the attractiveness of fashion that is made of talent, that is made of creativity, and this beauty in the minds of designers, maybe it's true because I'm not a fashion designer, can come about only by using different shades of colors, using different kind of materials, different designs. How do we match this with sustainability? This is still an open question. You see what I mean?
Well, I think we have one attendee who would like to ask a question. So let's let Mona Lisa allowed to talk. Okay. Now. Okay. No. No. Not working. No. Okay. So okay. So let's.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mona Lisa. How are you? Good?
Fine. It's good to be here. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the invite and to thank Yara and to thank Piera and to thank Ali for sharing all this information, fascinating information of your professional and life experiences concerning this matter. First of all, my questions are very basic. First of all, for emerging brands, how can you impact them with your for emerging brands that are going to start a startup in this? I know you have your own struggles and everything, but how can you contribute for them to adapt and join the new movement, the flow of this approach of sustainability, and how can you help them join that movement? Is there anything are you accessible for that? If people want to call you and meet with you to see how they can adapt themselves as they are starting to start on those directions?
Well, I think we should, it could be workshops that should be organized. If I'm sure that Ali, Yara, and Piera, if she's back here, would be very willing, I assume, that we organize a workshop, or they organize a workshop where people that are interested come, attend, ask questions, specific questions, right? I mean, Ali, Yara, Piera, what do you say?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we do that, of course. And at the moment when people approach us, we really try to help them out with but just informally. There's no structured way of doing it so far, but we help out by giving buyers how to start and everything.
Yeah, it can even be virtually, no? It could even be virtually, you know. Well, obviously, mainly more.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's good to know that you support newcomers, rising brands. That's it's good to know that the door is open. Something else, in Latin America, we have material called Piñatex, and it's fabricated by a company called Anam. They make leather with it as well. Here in Egypt, we have a lot of rice that gets burned and intoxicates all of us every year. Maybe that would be a fantastic solution for that to stop. And I don't know, find a use for that fiber of the rice to make material. It's something I wanted to bring to your attention. And as well, for the question that Susan asked last, how can we rehab the Egyptian's mind to be more attractive, or to be totally pro or very pro on buying products that are done with sustainable product that have a sustainable production, companies, designers that have a sustainable production. Well, you know, it doesn't really have to be as complicated or as, you know, media is favoring us. We live in the era of media. I think Instagram is a great tool. I think if we just try using the tools that we have available you know, and the designers or textile producers as yourselves come together and you make like a group of people, because of course when you are several it has more weight, and each one of you put their followers together, you create volume, you create a team, you create a movement that can have a great impact, because the visuals of this Instagram are influencing constantly everybody, and in very good ways. And I think if a campaign is created by people like you in agreement, in accordance, and you create an Instagram page just for sustainability and that kind of thing, and each one of you invites their followers, you can create quite a movement, and you can easily start rehabilitating the mentality of the country, and to clean, for example, clean Egypt, use recycled material, and leave garbage less. Wow, that's powerful. That's strong. That's powerful. And it's not complicated at all. It's just visual. And it's been proven that in 21 days of repetitive message, it gets into the people, it gets into the mind. So the dynamics are not that complicated. I think that you guys should give it a try.
Can I just onto that? We already are working on that with other brands, and even Sustainable University in Egypt, and the factories that work in the agencies. We're creating a sustainable group to try to promote it together, because it's difficult to do it in silos. Actually are doing that. There's also a slow fashion group making the material in Arabic, so people would know about that. They're working very hard. There's the Fashion Revolution movement that Rania, the co-founder of UPFUSE with Yara, is also in charge of the chapter in Egypt. So we're also trying to promote that across the region, even in North Africa and other places. So there's a lot happening, but we're trying, like you said, to work together. Everyone working in silos, and we will have a huger impact. And also for Susan to invite us today, this is also a proof of we're getting people are starting to hear about what we're doing. So it's a good sign.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. It's wonderful to know that you guys are changing the world. Congratulations, and thank you for letting me know that your doors are open. I will contact Susan, get your contacts, and have a brand that might be contacting you soon. It's a young brand that they're starting, and it would be amazing if they can start with your with your guidance on how to integrate sustainability within their company. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there anything, any one of you would like to add at the end that they feel is important we should share? We've talked about the challenges, your businesses, the challenges, how we shall promote, how we could grow the awareness here with the consumer. Whereas Piera said, the media is important, sharing information. Is there anything, any one of you, a last word would like to say? Yara?
Susan, if I can say just one thing, I guess what is very important is that, as Mona Lisa was saying before, that being together is very important, creating, connections, creating exchanges and integration, also visiting, for instance, many times in fairs, workshops, or even fashion shows, I understand that many people do not understand or do not know how the supply chain for their materials work. Even there are people that deal with cotton and they have never seen a cotton plant. or they do not know how complicated is it to grow the cotton, to gin it, to spin it, to dye it, to mercerize it, to you just name it. So I guess it's very important that the industrial world gets together with the agricultural world, and then all this is then brought together to the design world, because of course the designers have a big role, because at the design stage is decided the 80% of the sustainability of a garment, because the designer chooses the colors, chooses the fabrics, chooses the way the fabric has to be cut, so it should be zero waste or you know, with more waste. So I guess that the integration of the different steps of manufacturing, but also of agriculture, if we speak about natural fibers, it is really, really important, because you know, just if we understand, if we see the faces of the people involved in our supply chains, then we understand how we should be careful for them, how we should be careful for the environment, how we can make a change, how we can really, you see, the advance in sustainability. So I guess it's very important having partnership, but partnership that are not necessarily for business, partnership that bring, that take, that advance what we believe in. What Ali is doing, what Yara is doing, what Mona Lisa will do or is already doing, I don't know. But so, Susan, from your council, I guess this is an important role, that you can bring together these people, that you can have our support for organizing this kind of meetings, exchange, study visits when we can have them. I mean, Filmar, for instance, is open. Before Mona Lisa asked how can be emerging brands being supported. In Filmar, we do support emerging brands and emerging designers that are interested in knitwear, because we provide free samples of yarns, free knowledge tools about how, you know, knitting works, and how the supply chain should work in a better way and in a more sustainable way. We do offer study visits. We also offer internship in the company. So all this, I guess, is what is needed. If not, we will never understand what we have to do all together to be stronger, because alone we don't go anywhere. This is a very big commitment that we have to take. You see that last year, I guess, in the G7, Macron launched the Fashion Pact. I mean, this is not only government, it's very big institutions that are undertaking this commitment. So we have it at the governmental level, but we should have it also at a kind of industrial and practitioner level.
Yeah. Is there any, Piera, is there like a possibility that to organize for the interested designers here that have been this to do like a trip to the Filmar plant in Egypt, where, as you were saying, to see firsthand the production process, you know, taking us through and giving, having somebody there, if you're not here, somebody else, give an introduction how Filmar in Egypt applies sustainable.
Sure, Susan, we can organize it. Of course, now the time is quite challenging because you see with the COVID pandemic, but once, I hope very soon, this will be over. It will be really my task. If you want, we can do it together in organizing a trip. And if you have also other fashion designers that are studying in Italy, because there are many Egyptians that are studying in Italy at the YED or at the NABA. I see many and I get in touch with many. We can also organize a trip to the Italian company. I mean, we can do whatever we think is correct, and we are open really to offer any kind of support.
Yeah, that would be, I think, and like you said, like Ali was saying that he's working, Yara working with different on different projects here for the sustainable. I think one shares information. It's important to share information and to keep each other updated, and that everybody can come in with an input. Like us as the council definitely as trying to promote more talk workshops, and me as a magazine, whether it's online or print or digital, to write about it and to show success stories and to open up maybe the Egyptian consumer with in letting them know what foreign luxury companies are doing, because that's usually the easiest catalyst for them to follow. Oh, it's in fashion, right? So let's also be in fashion and follow, right? So yeah, I think there is a lot to do, and Ali, Yara, is there something you would like to add?
Yara, right here. No, actually, like you said, like both of you, this is great talking about, and yeah, shedding more light in mainstream magazines on what we're doing as on the process, how difficult it is, and how we actually are trying to do something out of what mainstream industry is. That help people understand it's not something that's just, you know, one brand that did something. It's there's a movement, there's an industry-wide movement. On the country level, there's a lot happening in terms of agriculture and BCI. There's a lot of happening. So shedding light on that stuff is important for young designers, for people who are interested in fashion, and we are willing to do that when there's any opportunity. So thank you, Susan, for giving us this opportunity, and also for sharing the floor with these amazing women. I'm very happy.
Thank you, Ali.
Well, thank you all for being part of this panel, and I think it was quite enlightening, and it's recorded, so I'm going to share it on our groups, and I'm going to share it on our websites. And let's all connect and take it forward and plan something again. And hopefully next time, soon, we can do that in a real workshop with people attending when things get better again. And Piera will be back in Egypt. And so thank you all.
I think things can only get better. I'm super positive. I think that is the beginning of a new era. COVID has marked the beginning of a new era. And as Yara said, the people who started before are ready for the now. And I'm super positive. And I think we have to take it on that direction, full blast, without doubting at any point. Just looking forward, and don't look back. The important thing is never to look back. This era has changed things forever, and we are obliged to reset and remodify the way we operate and we function. We have to reinvent ourselves, and this is the new mentality, the new everything. So we have to just keep going forward, because it will dictate on how we're going to do it if our hearts are open and our minds.
Okay, thank you, everybody, and stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Susan. Amazing. Piera, lovely meeting you. Yara and Ali, thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay.
Susan, are you there?
Yes, I'm trying to
Okay.
close that.
Susan, amazing. Amazing. Susan, are we alone?
Yes, but I have to get on another Zoom call. I'm going to call you.
Call me later. Bye.
I'm finished. Okay.
Okay. Big kiss. Bye.
Bye. Bye.